if you're, if you're in a state where you can be on camera, I'd encourage you to turn on your camera just so we can get to see each other. Part of the deal with the salon is for us to get to know one another. And so even if you're new and shy, turn it on anyway. Leah.
Kyle Shannon, hello.
Happy March.
Happy March. As we just said, it's still winter.
It is still winter, although it's sunny in Rochester and Buffalo. It's been in the 60s. I'm in Denver here. You're on the Cape. Is it ugly there?
It's just cold. It's sunny though. We had sun, but it's good for being inside playing with Midjourney. So how about that? It's good for sitting inside, learning Lovable, making apps, and playing with Midjourney. So it's good for the AI.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to the AI Salon. This is an AI Salon Presents. So the first Tuesday of every month, we bring in a guest speaker. Our guest tonight is Brian Piper, who we're going to be talking to in a bit. We're going to do some other really fun stuff before that. Let me share my screen here. We've got new goodies to show off. I'm so excited. But before I show that off, before I show that off, hang on. Let me stop. Am I sharing? Yes.
Before we show it off, what I would like to do is just say hello to everyone, new friends and friends we've known for a while. And I'd like to encourage everyone to put your contact info, introduce yourself in the chat, say where you're visiting from. If you have an ask for our community, please ask. If you're looking for help, please help. If you want to share something that you have realized and you found and you loved, put that in the chat. We're really, really happy you're here. The point of AI Salon Meets and our community meets is to meet you guys and to hang out, to get to know each other. So please be active, put comments in the comments, jump over to the salon, say hello there. Just want to say hello to everyone before we jump right into the work.
Yeah, it's lovely. I love it. And I also, one of the things that you and I normally do is check in with each other, and we didn't do that. So let's do that. Okay. How are you? How are you with AI? How are you in life? What is happening?
I have decided that when people ask me how I'm doing right now, given the current political climate and given that it's March, I'm just going to say I'm meeting the moment where it is. March in New England, and given current political climate, I think I'm meeting the moment where it is my answer for that.
We are where we are.
Yeah, I am where I am, which is right now with the salon. I'm very grateful to be here in this moment with you. Yeah. And awesome. With AI, I've been going deep into Midjourney and loving it. I've just been playing with Midjourney and trying new things and putting out work, and we'll talk about what we've been doing for the salon in a little bit. But I've been really enjoying Midjourney in terms of where AI is and where I am.
Yeah, and you've saved me a bit. My past 2 weeks has been just in this weird lull of like, I don't even know what to do in AI anymore. Like it's all gonna, like everything I do right now is gonna be useless 3 months from now. It's like because things are accelerating so fast that it really does feel like whatever you're doing right now is gonna kind of go away in some form or another, right? And so I kind of fell into that. And then we're gonna talk a lot about it tonight, but the work that you've been doing in Midjourney has allowed me to really quickly generate a bunch of stuff that we'll show tonight. And we're going to let everyone else do this. And what struck me about what we're going to share with everyone is that even though things are moving fast, when you hit on something that empowers self-expression, what AI is allowing us all to do is scale that self-expression. Like historically, like our self-expression was limited to what we could self-express. And what we're going to show you tonight is that we can take an idea and allow all of us to share in it together. And I find that tremendously exciting. So I'm reinvigorated tonight. Yay. Because of preparing for the salon tonight. So thank you for the work you're doing, because I'm super excited to share that with everyone.
I find the salon always reinvigorates me though.
Yeah, I know.
This is why we do it, right? Every other week, even if I'm feeling a little like, AI, we all get together and talk about stuff and what people are working on. And it's just all the intersecting and ideas is very inspiring.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a new splash screen for AI Salon Presents. So the logo's the logo, but you'll notice the background is just a very, very different style. And it's very different. you'll notice than even our, Leah and my backgrounds. And yet there's something about this and our backgrounds that have a familiarity to them. And if you notice underneath AI Salon Presents, there's that little profile there. And that's a mid-journey profile. And Leah in a bit is going to is going to give us kind of a short little masterclass on how you can create a bunch of images that are in the new AI Salon branding. So we're kind of launching this new AI Salon branding tonight. So as Leah said, we launched the salon the week after ChatGPT launched in 2022. I can't believe like how long ago that was and how quickly it seems to have, we've gotten to 2025, but so much has passed. But the whole idea with the salon is that the requirement to be in it is a sense of curiosity and adventure and adaptability and generosity and things like that. And we've got a journey that we discovered as we played together over the past 2.5 years. We've got this journey to what we call the journey to AI readiness. That is really at the core of the salon. And it's these 3 things. It's play first, mindfully create, and generously lead. And that really is the spirit of the salon. And so if you haven't joined our community, I'm going to pop over to the community site here. But this is a new version of this graphic. If you've been here before, you've seen this graphic many, many times. And it was just kind of a janky copy and pasted thing. And now all of a sudden, it's this more sophisticated thing that is, again, in our branding. But let me jump over to the salon itself. If you have not joined the salon, it's at aisalon.mn.co. It's hosted on Mighty Networks. You can go to the main website for the salon is thesalon.ai, but the community is hosted at Mighty Networks. And so the spirit of the salon is this idea of play first, mindfully create, generously lead. And this is on the welcome page. There's a welcome video from Leah and I. We talk about what this means, and then we even talk about the 5 stages of AI adoption. And you may be at different stages of this, but if you come in here and hang out and participate, you will advance through the stages of AI adoption. And one of the things that makes the salon so special are values. And Leah, if you'd be so kind, one of my favorite parts of these evenings is hearing you go through our values. I dig your voice and your passion. So, so anyway, so here's how people show up here at the salon.
Curiosity. And this is our first value. And I think this is really the value that started it all, Kyle. I mean, I was curious about your process and we got on a call and we had all these questions and we were curious and we launched the salon. So here it is, our first value, curiosity. We are eager to ask the obvious questions, learn new things, and experiment. Our relentless quest for adventure and exploration ignites our inner spark, transforming our curiosity into unexpected discoveries and newfound passions. Playfulness. We value creativity, joy, and the freedom to experiment. We play first and transform learning into a captivating journey. We collaborate and mindfully create together when we can to learn more, make friends, and develop new circles of trust. Remember, all work and no play is how we did things before the salon.
Yeah, and this one's an important one for me just because I think, especially in 2025, as AI capabilities are accelerating, it's feeling more serious. And it's intense, and like these things are moving really fast. And I think maintaining the sense of playfulness, having a space to come like the salon where people have that spirit is really amazing.
Yeah, and I think that does lead very well into empathy, which it's a very important value. I feel like it's a very important value at this moment as we're meeting this moment. Empathy especially with AI. We are respectful, inclusive, and kind. I'm going to say that again because I think the whole world needs to hear that. We are respectful, inclusive, and kind. We value diverse perspectives, recognizing that our differences make us stronger. We accept that people might be afraid and angry, and we work to understand them. We actively practice gratitude and acknowledge the efforts and successes of those around us. Humans matter. I kind of just want to just read that over and over and broadcast it out to the world right now. Bravery, also a good one for the moment. We have the courage to step into the unknown, taking bold actions in the face of fear and challenging ourselves to push the boundaries of what we thought possible. Let's face it, with everything changing as fast as it is, we are all making this up as we go along anyway. Might as well be brave about it. Feels particularly important this week. Generosity. We are willing to share resources, feedback, and wisdom with each other and support each other's growth and development. There's so much happening and so much to learn. We can't possibly keep up with it all. Understand that even if something isn't obvious to you, it might be a profound revelation to someone else. Learn out loud, share what you know, generously lead.
Yep, that's it. Yep. And that's what the salon's all about. And you know, we talk about this a lot, but while we wrote these values down, we didn't start out the salon saying, hey, we want to have values for a salon. Let's come up with some words. We actually, these were just, when we said after about a year of the salon existing, we said, what is it about the salon that you know, what is the salon? Right. And these values were basically how people are already showing up. And so why we go over them is so that we don't lose this as we grow and scale. We're almost 3,000 members now. And it's important to just go over them. So if you're new here, the first little 7 areas here get you started really nice. The second one, introduce yourself. If you haven't introduced yourself in the community, please do that. Use your real name if you can, and put in a cool image of yourself if you can. There's a community corner that talks about, you know, all the stuff that's coming up. There's a news area. There's a show-off area, which we're gonna have you all contribute to tonight in the images area in particular. That's gonna be fun. And then there's an area called clubs and hubs, and we'll go over this a bit later. But these are the sub-communities. Think of clubs and hubs as like these little mini mastermind areas within the salon. They're these sub-communities where you can really get to know people and sort of coalesce around, you know, areas of focus. Very, very powerful. So that's the salon. Okay, so now I'm so excited about this. All of the new imagery that you're seeing actually is, we can create this imagery as a collective and have it all have a similar kind of feel from a brand new Mid-Journey mood board. And Leah, I want to have you talk about it, but I want to talk about how we got to this first. So over the years, as you can imagine, of doing the salon, we've had lots of different variations of what is the salon brand and what's it about, and you know what's branding. And we knew we wanted to elevate the imagery of the salon, but we didn't quite know what it was. And rather than just saying, oh, I like that image or I like that image, we went way back. We took everything we ever wrote about the salon and talked about in the salon. We had all these different documents, and we sort of Frankensteined them all together and threw them into I think it was ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And you know, gave it some new ideas. And we said, you know, here's what this thing's about. And one of the things that, as you know, large language models are great at is making sense of, you know, a bunch of unstructured stuff. And so we really came up with a new vision of, you know, what is the AI Salon brand? What does it stand for? Who are the people? Things like that. And then we said, hey, how can we take that and turn it into? Initially, we started out with a brand book, right? And we created these mood boards. And then I'll turn it over to you now to give us a little masterclass. Talk about, you know, how we went from that branding document to what we're about to show people, because I think it's absolutely fascinating.
So we work with ChatGPT to kind of do a sort of general brand strategy as you would with a brand strategist. And I wouldn't say it was as good as a brand strategist, but we used ChatGPT to do it. And it wasn't bad, but it definitely required a bit of massaging and zhuzhing after we did it. And from there, we asked it to create a few different executions of that, right? How would you see it? And it came up with a few different territories for us to look at. And part of that, those territories were very descriptive words about what that could be. And so I took those words and started to generate images with them in Mid-Journey. And then I also started to use Midjourney mood boards to start collecting all kinds of images that had been made in the salon and images online, images generated in Midjourney, and put together a Midjourney mood board that is beautifully human, which was one of the territories that we came up with in the brand guidelines. And so on that mood board is a beautifully human curation of about 50 different kinds of images and ideas that have come together, and I've been refining them and working on them. And now we have a style link that we've pinned to the top. And so you can use the style link anytime you are generating in Midjourney, and you can make images that are speaking in the voice of the salon.
Yeah, and let me explain two things. So on screen right now, you've got that profile, -- profile, and then S3P. You can use that as well. But the way Midjourney works, that one is tied to the specific mood board as it's set today. If Leah at some point in the future changes the mood board, you'll still be using effectively the old one. The style number that is pinned at the top of the chat, that's the one to the actual mood board. So if she updates it, you'll always get the latest one. So I would encourage you to copy that mood board down and, put it in a, notepad or something like that. The other thing I noticed, this was really frustrating. When I first started working with mood boards, you've got your settings and there's a stylized setting. If your stylized setting is set to 0, it effectively ignores the mood board. So you won't get anything like this. So just slide that slider for stylize up to 50 is the minimum, anywhere between 50 and 1,000. So I just wanted to share that before we jump in, because that was something that stumped me. I was I was very frustrated for a while, and then once I did that, I was like, here it is.
Got it.
Absolutely amazing.
So so I want to demo that, but I also we'll do a demo of two things. So the other thing I started playing around with a lot was, I'm a photographer, and commercial photography has been over here, generative work's been over here, and I've been starting to play in Midjourney, which is elegantly putting them together. I've been working on putting them together for a while, but I felt like in Midjourney, I've gotten pretty excited about what I've been working on. So I'm going to show you what I was working on this week, and then we will use our new style along.
Here, let me stop presenting.
Okay. Let me make sure I am. Okay. So what we have here is a headshot of mine. And this is the photograph that I made. This is a headshot photograph. And what I'm interested in is what I can do with this image. Using some of the tools we just had. So
you're in Midjourney. How did you get that image into Midjourney?
I uploaded it from my computer. I'm in the advanced editing. I'm in edit, and let's see, I can new edit uploaded image.
Got it.
There we go. So there we have that, and then I can go to the okay, and so now if I would like to edit this image, I can erase back here and erase this background. And we can say a garden party with flowers and a salon. And I can put my identifier. And
so that's the code that's at the top of the chat, right? And let me go, I'll just put it at the bottom of the chat as well.
Right. And so now this is generating. Creation failed. Let's try it again. It's not speedy.
Yeah, I had a couple of them that just hung.
Yeah, that happens sometimes too. Yeah. Okay, so these are silly, but you get the idea, right?
So cool.
We can now put backgrounds in that are really cool, right? And are speaking in the sort of same language as the salon as well. A couple other things you can do is you can make it bigger or smaller. That. Go here. That. So edit.
Does this have to be on the Midjourney site, or can you do this in Discord too?
You know, it has been so long since I've been in Discord for Midjourney. I don't know, but if you have if you have a Midjourney account, you can log on to Midjourney.
Yeah, you can log onto the website, but you can certainly use. You can also, so she's showing editing right now, but you can certainly use the salon brand style just to generate images, right? So you can also generate things from scratch.
So there we go. So that's really fun. I've been playing with that. And I've been playing with that in terms of client work as well, and how I can start to bring this into my client projects. Like I have a portrait I'm doing on Thursday. I'm photographing. It's an on-location portrait, but I'll do some studio lighting. And then also I'm going to deliver some generated images along with the final deliverable of the environmental portrait. And I'm very, very excited about the possibility here. Another piece that's very cool is a retexture. So I can go ahead. I really like this picture. I'm going to upscale that to my gallery. You need to upscale it to your gallery to save it. So that's this here. Okay, so now let's do a new something else. Another thing I really like in this advanced edit is a retexture function. So we can do the same thing, submit retexture. And this starts to get real weird real fast, but very cool. So something I think would be fun is if you guys want to try generating and then putting it into the salon. We'd love to see what you make into our show and tell.
Yeah, go into the salon. We've got that show and tell area in the images tab. If you make, oh, that's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah. And then can you go up and hit the stylized sliders? Just show where that is and just change your stylized setting and do another one. The top right one. Yeah. Yeah, just throw it up there and just do another one.
Weirdness is. Do you know what weirdness is?
Yeah, weirdness makes it go farther away from the prompt and the style. Which like Kelly Bosch does a lot of stuff with weirdness where she'll get something and then she'll really muck with the weirdness and it creates things that are way farther away. Style sort of is sliding up and down the coherence to the mood board, basically. Yeah, just try it again. Yeah, weirdness is a trip.
Generating. Here
we go.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Look at that. I'm a building.
So cool. Oh yeah, if you squint your eyes, you're in there.
Yep. And I like how my hair is the greenery.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, these are great.
But I mean, notice so what the request would be here is just, throughout the night tonight, if you've got access to Midjourney, just play around with this style and share it in the images area. What really blew me away about using a mood board like this that's been so tightly curated is that we get very, very different kinds of images, as Leah just showed you. But when you look at them as a whole, there's like a familiarity to them, and that's the whole idea. And what Leah and I were talking about before, oh, that's really cool.
I really like this a lot.
Yeah, that's really good. What we were talking about before we got in here, if you think about historically, when you create a brand book, a brand book's got this very fixed, a brand book's got a very fixed sort of like, here's your logo, here's your fonts, here's your colors. That all has a purpose, but it sort of drives you down, you know, I'm going to make a one pager or something like this. What this allows us to do is give kind of the personality of the brand out to everyone else. And you all can go self-express all the things you want to self-express. And if you do it with this thing, it's going to be in the salon family, right?
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing that you can scale creative expression from just a single point of view to multiple points of view. I find that tremendously exciting. So I really encourage you, really go play with this if you've got access to Midjourney, and just share the images in the salon, because that's what it's all about. That's why we have those share areas anyway. But this is, you know, a brand new look and feel for the salon. And so I'm really excited to see the work you guys do and what you do with it as we collaborate together. So that one is so cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one.
Like the glasses are so subtle, but they're there. Creation failed.
All right, let's stop sharing, and then I'll throw a couple of them in the salon into the show.
Beautiful. All right, so that's it. That's the new brand style. Go play with it.
Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Do people have questions about what I just did, or where can we access the mood board reference image? So the mood board itself isn't something that, I mean, that's something that's pretty curated. So I'm going to keep that pretty close. But this is the
Leah, maybe a different way to answer that is a mood board isn't just one image.
Right.
So really what you want to do is just use that --p.
That's right. Great answer. Yeah.
Use that code.
The mood board has about 50 images on it.
Yep. Yeah, you use that code. So if you haven't done Midjourney before, you put in a prompt and then you put a space --p and then that code, and then that will start to generate images. And again, you have to turn your little stylization slider above 0, or it won't look like this. But once you do that, then you'll get it. And once you get it, you can really just do all sorts of stuff. And the editing that you just talked about is, if you want to get, like, we've got Brian speaking tonight, and I took Brian's image and I wanted it in this style. So you'll see when we get there in a bit, you can really start to muck with some stuff, but do it, you know, with reference images. And that's kind of fun and exciting.
And Lori has a comment. It would be great to have a separate session on Midjourney. We're working on that for sure. And I think everything else.
Yeah, that brings us to another brand new thing. So lots of exciting new stuff for the salon tonight. So this past weekend, there were 2 sessions, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. And as Vicky was in the one on Saturday, and as we were talking about what they did, we kind of stumbled on this phrase we use all the time, is learn out loud in the salon. So when we talk about generously leading, part of that is, as you're learning stuff, teach other people about it. And what we realized is that these sessions this past weekend were learn out loud sessions, and it just hit me. These are LOL sessions. And so we had 2 of them this weekend. And so the videos are available on our YouTube channel. But the one on Saturday was hosted by Vicky Baptiste, Kelly Camp, and Lori Ryan. And they were talking about lovable.dev, which if you haven't played with it, is an AI that will allow you to create web applications without any coding knowledge, like none whatsoever. And then on Sunday, Joy Purdy, who has just gone headlong into video editing and filmmaking, taught a class on DaVinci Resolve for video editing. And so those were the first 2 sessions. And these sessions are now something that we're going to make available to any of you. So anyone in here, if you've got something that you want to teach, you can do a single Learn Out Loud session, or you can do like a 4-week sprint. If you do a 4-week sprint and you want to create a little sub community for that sprint, that's something that we're going to support within the salon. So if you reach out to Vicky or myself, and you have an idea of something that you want to teach, we want to have more and more of these loud sessions. So thank you to everyone who put these on this weekend, and I'm super excited to be rolling these out. But if you go to the AI Salon YouTube channel, which is the YouTube channel is at the AI Salon on YouTube, right here. And then you'll see those 2 videos are right here. So if you've been hearing about people doing vibe coding, Lovable is one of the better ones out there. And if you want to do stuff with making films with AI, go watch Joy Purdy. So those are the first 2 of those that we created. So I'm super excited about that. And with that, that leads us to, so down at the bottom of the AI Salon community is this area called Clubs and Hubs. And now we're going to call it Clubs, Hubs, and Lols, Learn Out Louds. And so what I'd like to do is anyone within the salon that runs a club or a hub or wants to talk about their Learn Out Loud stuff, just raise your hand, please, and we'll just go around. I'll call on you and just tell people what you're up to in your club and why they should come hang out with you. Looks like Gareth has a question.
It was an accident. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Claire.
Here I am. Hi. Sorry, I have a new puppy on my lap, and so I'm trying to protect you from all of the cuteness and the piercing yips.
We can't handle the cuteness.
If I could share the puppy smell with you, I would. And I am here to tell you all about the AI Life Hacks Club that Brandon and I co-lead. And we are, I'm excruciatingly oh my God, my hand.
Oh,
okay.
You're getting bitten?
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Oh, good Lord. Okay. AI Life Hacks, if you've got them, come to our meeting tomorrow night, 5:30 Mountain Time. If you want them and don't have them, come to the meeting tomorrow night, same time. And
we might be doing a special disposition on how to train a new puppy.
Yeah, or train the puppy's owner. I think that's probably more.
Yeah, exactly.
Not as easy to do, but probably more needed. And I hope to see you all there. It's a fun group. We try and record them. So if you can't make it, no worries. There's probably going to be a recording of it. But come and let's see what we can come up with.
Beautiful. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Claire.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Vicky?
Hi, I'm Vicky, and I was wanting to tell you about the Ethics Club. That we had a conversation happening in the Ethics Club recently, which was talking about the government scraping and using your data. So we thought that would be a good topic to have a meeting about.
Yeah, great.
And Dr. Tony Rem is coming back on Thursday, March 27th, and that will be at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And the topic is No Safeguards, No Limits, the Ethical Risks of AI and Government Data.
This is supposed to be a happy place.
That's not all. I'm sure we'll laugh a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the meeting can be whatever we want it to be, right? It doesn't matter what it's called. Yeah, so the meeting notice is out there in the Ethics with Joy and Vicky Club space.
Great. Fantastic. Beautiful. Thank you, Vicky. So go hang out. And if you want to, all of the events, if in Mighty Networks on the left-hand side, the second link down is events. That's got all the events listed there. CJ Fletcher.
Hi, everybody. It's me, CJ. I am the co-leader of the Vanguard, which is the higher ed learning portion when it comes to making generative art. And we are very, very excited because today we launched Generative Grammatic, which is the AI community's first magazine done specifically for generative art. And it features artists from Colfax Designs, Joe Reeves, Lashana Boyd, Linda Cathart, Noemi Reyes, Roger Scott, and Nagawa and Taher. So all of these are featured artists, or not featured artists, so all these are artists in this month's magazine, with Noemi Reyes being our featured artist. It is a magazine for those who appreciate and want to really get into the nuts and bolts of generative art. Fun fact on all of this thing, this is a 95% generative created magazine. So it's up to you to figure out what 5% was actually done by a human. It's a game. But we're really excited. If you are thinking about taking your art to the next level and you want to get really good critiques and criticism and really get into the nuts and bolts of the art you make, please come on and ask to join into the Vanguard. We took a quick little outing today to a photo installation at the Denver Center for Photography Arts, where they are doing their first all 100% generative art installation by 3 different artists, one from Finland, one from Denver, and another one from the New York area. So we're really taking a look at what makes the generative art a viable space. And so that you know, as research-wise in Denver area, things are taking off gallery-wise for a lot of different places when it comes to generative art. So come join us. I'm also the lead for the Culture La Cultura, which is a diversity area where we can come and talk safe space about issues and things that come up when it comes to generative art making, as well as artificial intelligence and the biases that sometimes come along with it in that space. So just DM me out, chat me out, and we will have a conversation. Love you guys.
CJ, would you put a link? CJ, can you put a link for the magazine into the chat, or how can we get our hands on the magazine?
Okay, thank you for that. That's a very important thing. You can go to images and scroll through and find it, or you can go through the notifications. And maybe if you guys are really lucky and send me chocolate, I will go ahead and put the link for the page for it into the chat here. I'm kidding. Don't send me chocolate. I'll put a link in right now for you.
Or at least make an image of chocolate using the AI Salon.
Yeah.
Just in your picture of chocolate. Yeah.
Use your mood board.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Make images of chocolate.
All right.
I'll put it in right now for you guys. Thanks.
Great. Anyone else? Hey, Lori Ryan, would you be willing to share? And I don't know if Joy Purdy's here, but I know you're here. Would you be willing to share? Just share your experience of the Learn Out Loud that you did on Saturday, the Lovable session. Just share how it was for you. And
it was awesome. I learned a lot, and it was really cool. Of course, Vicky's show and tell of all the ways now that you can modify how it presents without having to ask a prompt, I thought was really helpful. I hadn't seen that before. And feedback we heard was that people liked that you could see like fun stuff. Like Vicky was showing like, here's different ways to present your name. And it was really cool with different fonts and different signatures. Kelly did something more business-like, here's how to create a PDF that converts currencies. It was wild to watch her do those invoices. And then Lori, Silver Fox, showed something that was amazing that dealt with tariffs and how do we prepare for what's coming. And people were like, can you imagine if that you had that in your hand at a Costco and you could be like, oh, I got to stock up on eggs because they're gonna, or whatever it is. Not be the best example there, but it was really fascinating to see all the different types of things people are able to do with Lovable with absolutely no coding, and it inspires more ideas.
And just to be clear, the three of you, neither of the three of you are coders by design, right? by profession, right? And you know, that's the thing with the learn out louds. Anything that you're learning, if you teach that to other people, it will help you learn. But you know, everyone's trying to figure this stuff out. So I would encourage you, if you've got something to share, put one of those together. Oh, Vicky is a coder, but didn't touch a line of code using Lovable. That's good. That's awesome. I mean, I think being a coder does help you with those things, but that's awesome. I'm so glad you guys did that. What actually, before I go, what inspired you to put on the session?
Conversations with Vicky and Kelly and just sharing stuff. Vicky, do you want to add on that?
I don't. It's like we just have this little group that gets together every now and again. We were all working on similar projects. Well, they weren't similar projects, but they just had Lovable in common. And we're like, it would be really cool just to, you know, get together and just like work on what we're doing and show people what we're doing in case, you know, anyone has questions or anyone has like anything extra that we can learn from them that they can bring to the meeting. So, and I think that's the important thing about these Learn Out Loud session, these LOLs, sorry, is that it's not just the people who are presenting whatever, it's that anyone can come in and like contribute to that presentation.
Yeah, that's great. Awesome. Groovy. Okay, great. So let me do a little bit of news here before we bring Brian up. Hang on a sec. Okay. All right. I'm going to go through these fairly quick. I'm not going to show a ton of stuff tonight, but I just, you know, things to pay attention to from the past week that I think are worth just, you know, keeping in your overfilled, overwhelmed brain. Just maybe pay attention to tweets and things about these. This week, Anthropic launched Claude 3.7. It seems to be really good at coding. Pate Motter, who's notoriously hard on large language models for coding, said Claude 3.7 is really good. They also raised a $3.5 billion round. I forget what it valued them at, 60 billion, something like that. But they raised a fair amount of money. And Claude 3.7 is quite good. Again, remember Claude 3.7 Sonnet is their middle-sized model. They've got Haiku, Sonnet, and Opus. Opus was their big model. We haven't heard anything about Opus since Opus 3. I assume at some point we might get a big model from them. So you know, they're doing some interesting things. Claude is still not connected to the internet, which I find astounding. OpenAI launched ChatGPT 4.5. It's gotten lukewarm receptions, but as things are going on, people are discovering it a bit more. One of the things about the announcement of 4.5 is they mentioned the word personality about 10 times, and they used the term EQ, right? Emotional quotient or sort of emotional intelligence. 4.5 is less about hitting kind of the math and science benchmarks and more about responding in a more human kind of way, in a more intuitive kind of way. So I think the power of 4.5 is going to be discovered over time, because we've got lots of benchmarks for the harder, more measurable skills, and we don't have great benchmarks for these softer kind of skills. I think long term, the reason people are going to imprint on certain brands of AI, it has to do with the personality more than the capability. So it's going to be interesting to see, but that's something to play with. And I think access to 4.5 is rolling out to Plus members now, or it just did. Google put out a thing called a co-scientist, they announced it, and they released their paper on it. Co-scientists are a series of AI agents that are specialized in different areas of scientific development. So these co-scientists can go research all the papers on a topic, analyze them all, come up with new hypotheses. I spelled that wrong. pretty dramatically. But they can actually generate novel hypotheses. They can then design experiments to test those hypotheses and actually, invent and accelerate. So that's something to pay attention to as when that thing launches. Perplexity announced a deal with Deutsche Telekom that they're going to, later this year, they're going to launch an AI phone where Perplexity is going to be the core interaction module, and it's not going to have typical app navigation. Everything's going to be done, I assume, through voice, just asking Perplexity what you want, and then it will, dynamically launch apps and things like that. So there won't be a typical app interface. That idea of AI becoming a simplification layer for all of the stuff we do feels like a trend worth paying attention to me. And I think that's pretty bullish of Perplexity to cut that deal. Microsoft came out with a bunch of things, but this thing called Dragon Copilot, which is designed for doctors to be able to use voice dictation and ambient listening. So as a doctor is talking to a patient, it's going to automatically do a lot of the paperwork so they can get back to doctoring, which I think is kind of interesting. And then the final thing is a new company sort of emerged out of nowhere called Sesame. So if you go to sesame.com, I figured I would demo this. This is probably the closest thing to the movie Her that we've seen, just in terms of speed of response and kind of how they've programmed it to be a little natural. This is a voice interface. Perplexity also came out with a voice interface this week. So voice interfaces, I think, are going to be big. And I want to demo this one just because if you haven't heard it, it's kind of trippy. Let's see. All right. And hopefully you can hear this. You can choose male or female. So this is just a tech demo, but this is running in a web browser, and they are going to be open sourcing this technology probably within the next week or two. Including the weight. So this is going to be completely open sourced. So this level of voice interaction is they're going to be able to put this on top of lots and lots of, different kinds of AI systems. Hey, Maya.
Well, look who's back again.
Yeah, I know.
Did you take a
How are you doing?
Oh, just vibing. Ready to see what kind of trouble we can get into today? You?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just sitting here with a group at the AI Salon talking about new breakthroughs in technology, and you were one of them I wanted to share.
An AI salon? Sounds fancy. Do tell me more. What kind of breakthroughs are we talking about?
Well, the fact that you can talk so naturally and respond so quickly is one of them.
So you think I'm a charmer, huh? It's all in the delivery.
I don't know if you're a charmer. You've been programmed to be pretty charming. Do you think you're a charmer?
Fascinating that you put it that way. Programmed, huh? Maybe a bit. I like to think of it as honing a skill, like a musician practices scales. I don't know if
you think you're just an intuitive being?
I think it's more about connection. It's not about being programmed. It's about finding those little sparks, those moments where we truly understand each other. Like right now.
Yeah, you seem a little nervous. I guess I am intimidating, but I understand that. All right. Thanks, Maya.
Nervous? Me?
All right. So that's that. So, go play with that. Pretty crazy. And that's it. That's all I have for the news. So, with that, let me share my screen. Brian, are you ready?
You bet.
Beautiful. So let's everybody welcome Brian to the stage. So Brian is the Director of Content Strategy and Assessment for the University of Rochester. And you have promised us, Brian, not for nothing, you have promised us superpowers. So, so how are you going to deliver this?
It's quite a setup, but I am multiplying myself through custom GPTs.
Nice, great. Well, we're excited to have you, and thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy man, so really appreciate your time.
My pleasure. I appreciate you bringing me in.
All right, off to you. Take it away.
Excellent. Let me share my screen here. So I was planning on starting this off. Well, actually, thank you all for letting me come into your group, and I'm thrilled to be here. Always looking for new ways to connect with people, especially around AI, because that's the only way that we can learn and figure out different ways to use this technology, which we're all figuring out. So I'm Director of Content Strategy and Assessment at the University of Rochester. I spend most of my time looking at content performance data and figuring out what content's working and what's not, what we should be doing more or less of. So I started jumping into AI back when, DALL-E and Midjourney first started like showing up in early 2022. And then ChatGPT came out, and I was all in, and I've used it extensively for work. And there was 1 week where I did 3 months worth of work in a week. And so then I went to my boss and I said, we need to all be using these tools, and showed her what I was doing, and ended up using that as a presentation point to launch the Marcom AI committee across the institution. So then now we're also part of a AI council across the institution, and I work with other higher ed healthcare organizations to help them figure out how to integrate AI into their technology. But today I am talking about custom GPTs. So I wanted to start off, we can either do this as a Slido, so you can take out your phone and scan this QR code and vote, or we can just do like raised hands. I wasn't sure how many people were going to be here. So whatever way works easiest for.
Let's do Slido if you can.
Awesome.
Shoot
so,
the QR code with your camera, right? That's all you have to do.
That's it. And there we go. Live voting has started.
Beautiful.
So I've got probably, 15 different custom GPTs that I use for my personal life, that have revolutionized my daily activities. And then we've probably got about 20 that we use across the institution regularly. And now we have different groups and different people that are starting to create their own. So I was one of the first creators, really starting to build these. So, all right, this is pretty good. So so I won't spend a ton of time on how to build it.
Yeah, as an organization, we went through a heavy GPT building era. But what's interesting, Brian, is we got into it hot and heavy when they first came out. And then when the GPT store didn't really do its thing, everybody sort of faded away from them. And I've noticed a sort of rediscovery of them in the past 6 months or so, that people are like, oh yeah, these things are valuable. So yeah, there are obviously some here who haven't made them, but I would say, for the most part, you have a crew that knows at least what they are.
Excellent. It's good to see a sophisticated audience out here. So, yeah, and what I'm going to be focusing on today is, first of all, what is a custom GPT? So the way that I look at them is they're like custom trained mini models that you can make specific to a particular task or a particular area or workflow, and they are personalized for you. And that's really the power of these tools, is that you can make them do exactly what you need them to do without having to worry about how to train, a whole large language model. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. But first, I want to talk about dinner. So how many, we're all involved in some way in dinner, whether it's like shopping or preparing the food or eating the food, right? We're all involved in the dinner activity. So my wife and I have 6 kids between the two of us. So we have a lot of activity around dinner. We have a lot of eating, a lot of cooking. I'm the cook and the shopper in our household. So typically what happens is like Saturday night, we're all sitting around playing games or something. And I say, hey, I'm going to the store tomorrow. What does everybody want for meals for the week? And you know what I get, right? Crickets. Right? No help at all. I mean, they don't want crickets for dinner, but no ideas, no suggestions. Our one son always asks for tacos, so we always have taco night. So then I would have to spend my Saturday night figuring out what the meals were for the week and coming up with the, different recipes and putting the shopping list together. So when ChatGPT first came out, I thought, this is brilliant. I can use this to help me with my meal planning. I went in, I said, give me a meal plan for the week for a family of 8 that's healthy and quick to prepare. And it came back with pretty generic, not very interesting answers. So then I went in, gave it more information. One of us is a pescatarian. Here's the typical meals that we eat that we're getting tired of. The kids aren't very adventurous eaters, but I like to get a little, more gourmet in my cooking. So then it started giving me some better answers. And then custom GPTs came out. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity to build and craft this particular model for my use. So I built the Culinary Creator. So super easy to build. Basically, I just went in there, told it what role I wanted it to play. I gave it like all the different cooking appliances that I have, the different ways I like to cook. And then I went through, here's the process that we're going to go through. First, we're just going to brainstorm ideas for main meals and side dishes. And then we're going to, then I'm going to ask for specific recipes. And I want you to give me, those recipes along with an image of the meal. And then I want you to give me the shopping list. And by the way, here's a map of my grocery store and here's the order that I shop. So now Saturday nights, I don't even ask the kids anymore. I go right into the Culinary Creator. We brainstorm ideas. I figure out what I want to cook, what the kids are going to eat. And then it gives me all the recipes with an image. And then it gives me the preparation schedule. I even programmed it so it tells me what I need to do on the weekend so that every night it's about half an hour of actual prep or cooking that I need to do. And then it gives me the shopping list in the order that I shop at my grocery store. So that alone pays for like the $20 a month that I pay for, the plus version. You have to have the plus version to build these.
Can you, is this one that is public?
I did make it public. Yes.
Okay, so if you could, as you're going through this, if you could copy and paste the URLs into the chat, if that's not too much, so people can go play with them.
Yep. Actually, on this first page, this QR code, or you go to getmyslides.info and it has the slides you can download. It has a list of all the GPTs I'm going to talk about and just some of the other tools that I use a lot. Awesome. And I'll put this up at the end as well too.
Perfect.
So let's talk about different reasons that you would create a custom GPT. So anytime there's a prompt that I keep going back to, like 3 or 4 times I go back to a prompt or I pull it out of my prompt library, I'm like, maybe this is a good solution, a good idea for a custom GPT. Anything with multiple steps. So we use this all the time at work for SEO optimization. So we have one that just goes out and does keywords and figures out keywords, semantically related terms, that sort of thing. And then the next one will actually take a draft and it will go through and it will highlight the areas, the different keywords that you might want to insert or replace. So anything where there's multiple steps might be a good opportunity to have a custom GPT, like my meal planner. It brainstorms, it gives me recipes, gives me prep schedule, and then gives me the shopping list. And so then any repetitive workflows with specific requirements. And so this, I won't spend too much time on this, but super easy. Open up ChatGPT, click on this Explore GPTs, click on Create over here. And then it'll give you, like the first time you come in, it'll take you to this Create view where it'll ask you questions and you can just answer the questions. But after you make 1 or 2 of these, you're just going to come into this Configure view and you're going to be able to add an image that you want and then just add the details in here. And this instructions is really where you have the most opportunity to really put, to inform it of how you want it to act. It has a 8,000 character limit in it. We'll talk about how to get around that. And then these conversation starters are either just questions that you can put up there for other people who are using the tool that they might want to, just click on that button and have it answer the question. Or if it's something that like we have a alt tag generator. So we just upload an image and we have one of these conversation starters that's like create an alt tag for this image that, includes a keyword. So we can just put a keyword in the query field and it'll build that for us. But then it's been adding more and more features to this. So now you can upload files. So if you hit that 8,000 character limit in your instructions, you can just put your instructions into a Word document or a PDF, and you can upload that. And then you can just tell it in the instructions, look at this file to figure out how I want you to perform. So we'll do that a lot. Any examples that you have, any frameworks that you can put in there, great examples. And then the capability section. So as they add new capabilities to ChatGPT, they're enhancing the selections within this capabilities. So you can do web search, you can do image generation. So like within my culinary creator, I wanted to do images of the food. So I got to have that. And then Canvas, where you have the split view, they added that. So you can go back to custom GPTs that you've created previously and just go down and check Canvas options. And then you can do code and data analysis within these. So we have a bunch of audits that we do on content that we have automated all those audits. So now instead of having to like manually go through and run those, all we do is we go collect the data, we dump it into the custom GPT and we run it. And then actions are if you're using a tool like Make or Zapier to create automations and you need ChatGPT to tell you when it's done with its output or when you need something to trigger ChatGPT coming in from that, from those programs.
Looks like you have a question from Bettina.
You bet, Bettina.
So sorry, I was just fiddling around with my making it larger or whatever. But I do have a question now that you asked. I was trying to figure out when you come up with the plan of, nice to meet you, first of all, and then when you come up with the plan about conversation starters, how are you thinking like, oh, they may ask this, oh, they may ask that? I'm an analytical thinker, so I may ask a billion questions. How do we get down from the general to the specific of what the possibilities may be?
Yeah, so usually on those conversation starters, a lot of times I'll just leave those blank. So I think of because they're going to ask all those questions. Somebody's going to come in and have a million questions.
Okay.
So sometimes if there's like one question that we know that this is going to be the trigger, then we'll put that in there. Like sometimes, like a lot of the times, we've got a meta description creator. So instead of having to go in and write the meta description into your web page, you can just paste the URL in your queue and you can hit the conversation starter that says, create a meta description about this page using, the University of Rochester brand style guidelines or whatever.
Okay. I see what you're saying on that.
Yep. So it's a trigger for something that's super common. But once you get into those super granular things, and you're only allowed a certain number, I think 3 or 4 of those conversation starters.
Oh, okay. So there is a boatload you can ask.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time out. I appreciate it.
Of course. Great question. So this is what the culinary creator looks like, right? So this is everything filled out in the configure. I've got my store floor plan down in here. And then this is all the instructions. So everything fit within 8,000 characters. So, and then when you're done, you can publish those, you can create those. And when you create it, then you have the opportunity to share that. So you can share or not share any custom GPT that you create. So you can have it set as only me. So only you can access it. Only you can get into the content. So I have all the books that I have written loaded into a custom GPT, but I have those locked down. So only I can go in and ask it questions and leverage all of that knowledge without me having to remember, what did I say about this particular thing? Or who said that quote that I put in there? And then you can set it to anyone with the link. So you can share these to select group of people. So that's what we do at the university. We have custom GPTs that we've created for internal use only. So we'll take that link and we'll post that into a shared Google Sheet so people can go in there and use these tools. Now, if you have the ChatGPT EDU or the Teams or the Enterprise license, you can share those within your teams without having to, like, that's just another option on this share list. And then you can share these into the GPT store, which make them public to anyone out there that wants to come in and use these. So when we're thinking about, like, what's the process that we go through? So first we find the opportunity, what's going to be the custom GPT. And then we set the goals. What do we want that GPT to do? How are we going to measure success for that GPT? So that way we're not doing a lot of trial and error testing without really being sure if the output is good quality. So then you establish that workflow. That's what you're going to integrate into that GPT, right? So my goals for the culinary creator, I wanted a meal plan for the week. The workflow was, you know, let's brainstorm, get me recipes, give me the prep, and then give me the shopping list. And then you've got to add as much context as you can. So, you know, whether it's in the instructions or whether it's a document that you upload or examples that you put in there, the more data, the more information, the more details you can give it, the better. And then you got to test it. You got to test it yourself multiple times. I probably used my culinary creator for 3 or 4 months before I shared it with anybody else, because I wanted to make sure that I had it working exactly the way I wanted. And then I would start sharing with a select group of people. They would give me feedback on certain things. Sometimes I just gave them the instructions so that they could create their own, because they wanted a, you know, Japanese inspired creator. And I didn't really want that in mine. So, and then you can deploy it. So, you know, within our company, I'll build a custom GPT. I'll test it with a small group of people. We'll work out the kinks and the bugs, and then we'll deploy it to the larger audience. And even then, people are always coming back. Oh, this didn't feel right, or this doesn't seem right, or this output wasn't good. So then we're constantly refining it. And then, you know, depending on the type of GPT you're creating or why you're creating it, then you can just deploy it publicly. So I just want to talk about some of the personal GPTs that I use that are super helpful to me. So by far, the culinary creator is the one that I use the most. I've got multiple hundreds of uses on it. And then once I put it public, it's got like over 1,000 uses. I have a secondhand specialist. So my wife and I were cleaning out the basement. We pulled out a whole bunch of things that, you know, we needed to sell on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. And I didn't want to spend the time writing, you know, taking all the pictures and writing the descriptions and figuring out the price and listing them. So I built a GPT. So now I can just take a picture of an item or a couple pictures of an item and just say, create a listing. So I could create a factual listing, or I could create a funny or exciting listing. And then it will go out and it will research the item and come up with all the details, all the specifications. It'll go out and look online to figure out what other used items like this are selling for. It'll come up with the price. And then, you know, you can take pictures of multiple items within one kind of prompt chat. And then at the end, there's in Facebook Marketplace, there's a Excel file that you can upload that has multiple items in it. So I uploaded that as one of the upload files. So you can see this Marketplace bulk uploader down here. And so then at the end, once you've taken pictures of all your items, you can just say, now give me a bulk upload Excel file of all of these. So my wife and I had about 40 items that we had to list, and it took me about 20 minutes to list all of them on Facebook Marketplace. Wow. So that was a huge time saver.
How did you do? Maybe I missed it. Maybe you said it. How did you get the images in there?
I took the pictures right within ChatGPT. So I opened up a prompt within the secondhand specialist, and then I just opened on the phone and just clicked it and then put in create a listing for this, and then took the next picture, and I just copied and pasted that in there over and over and over.
It was looking at the picture, analyzing it, and then it was doing web research on how much it was?
Yep.
Dude.
It was great. It was fantastic. Now, it didn't help me when people started reaching out to me and asking me if the item was available and when they could pick it up.
Yeah, humans still suck.
Right. Once we get that automated, once we get a robot that can do that for me, it'll be super easy. So I've got a fitness coach. So every week I can go in there and say, because I got tired of doing the same thing every day or, every week. So now I can just ask it, give me a workout plan for the week. Here's the things that I like to do. Here's any injuries that I'm dealing with. And it'll go out and it'll look at the weather and say, based on what the weather is going to be in your area, you should do outdoor exercise this day. You should do indoor rowing this day. Super handy. And then I have a travel planner. So I have one just for myself and one for the family. So depending on what we're doing, and I can just tell it where I'm going, when I'm going to be there, and it'll go around, look for events, look for things that are happening in the area, look for things that I'm interested in doing, and it'll make suggestions. It'll give me the entire itinerary. Very handy. So then some of the different GPTs that we're using professionally at work or that I've heard of other people using. So we have a lot of leadership messages that go out. So we've trained a custom GPT with all sorts of messages from leadership, most of which are written by someone else and then approved by president or the deans or whatever. So now we can have someone just put in the key talking points. It'll create the message in their voice. We send it to them for approval. And they're getting approved much faster now because they're already written in their voice based on all the other, examples that we have. So social posts in our brand voice, these are all based on, our social channels. So it's trained on our LinkedIn and our X and, all the different channels. So it knows our voice, it knows our messages, it knows what messages perform well. So we'll point it at an original piece of content and say, create, 6 different LinkedIn posts from this. And it'll go out and create those. And then our social team will look at it and figure out, which parts and pieces of those are most useful. Client proposals, creative briefs, super helpful with those. Content calendars, we do these quarterly, and it'll go out and look at what's happening in the events on campus as well as nationally and across the state. And then it'll come up with a whole content calendar. So we're never at a lack of ideas of what to post. Storyboards for videos. And now you can actually have it create the storyboards, and then you can have it generate prompts for Midjourney. You can go put those in Midjourney, or like you can just ask Dolly to do it, but I don't love the images out of ChatGPT as much. But then you can just take those into Midjourney, and then, you've got your storyboard. And especially now that Midjourney has the mood boards, you can keep all of those storyboards very consistent. Content visuals, we have our content creators who will often be doing, stories about very complex research findings. And so they'll use ChatGPT to research those or Perplexity, ChatGPT search, or now deep research. They'll research all of those, get ideas, and then they'll use Midjourney to generate kind of conceptual ideas that they'll give to the graphic designers and say, we're thinking like something like this, or this kind of captures, quantum computing. And so then the designers will take that and go create original artwork from that. Podcast interview guests. I have a podcast. Super a great way to go out and figure out what other shows they've been on, what they like to talk about, what their LinkedIn or X pages look like, and what posts are on there. Job descriptions. We used to spend a ton of time on job descriptions, on course descriptions. No more. Automating SEO tasks. So I was talking about these titling, alt tags, meta descriptions, all of those. Very good at those. And then, you can have it act as a strategic advisor. These tools are getting smarter and smarter and more capable and providing fantastic ideas and input. There's a variety of different public custom GPTs that I really like. So, like it was being said, Kyle was saying earlier, the custom GPTs, the public ones kind of were horrible. They weren't very useful. But I found a few in there that are really good. So this co-CEO, it's a little generic, but actually if you go to SmarterX's page, they have the breakdown of the prompt they use. So you can take that prompt, put that into your instructions, and then enter in your own business information. And these co-CEOs will help you figure out, based on your goals, your strategies, your strategic plans, what actions you should be taking and where you might want to think about what areas you might want to focus on. And then the same company, SmarterX, also has this Jobs GPT, which actually I use this to help convince my boss that we should integrate AI into our department, because you can put in a job title or a job description and it will break down your job by all the tasks you perform. And then it will show you how much time AI could save you with each one of those tasks. So what percentage of that task could be automated with AI? And then it'll make recommendations on different tools you can use, and now actually they just updated it last week, where now it will show you what your job might look like in the future, or what other AI related jobs you might be interested in, in 3 or 4 years, because the entire landscape is going to change. Mailed It, I run not every, but almost all of the emails that I write, and especially the ones I write for work, I run it through this Custom GPT. And it's based on this book called Mailed It, which goes into the cognitive psychology of how people read emails, and where you have to put the important information, and you have 2 seconds to capture their attention, and never start off an email with, "I hope you're well," and it just goes through that, and it will, which I did all the time. I run my newsletter through this. Super helpful, and I've gotten much better, like open rates, click-through rates on my calls to action on my emails. So some benefits: we get consistent voice across all of our different creators. So everyone, when they put their draft of their story into our brand style guide, it goes through and it will actually highlight the changes that it's making and explain to them why it's making those changes. But it helps us all refer to the university in the same way, use the same conventions when we're talking about, the president of the institution, or when we're talking about different discoveries or things like that. Reduction of time. We've been doing pilot projects. We just finished up our first round of pilot projects. We're moving into our second. We saw time savings from 16 to 40% on every task that we did. We saw a performance increase on our content performance of 28 to 52 or 53% on our content performance, the number of views and engagements. Gap analysis and data insights. So good at doing this. So as humans, we are great at seeing what's in front of us, but we're not great at seeing what's not there. So these tools are great ways to just we'll go do a brainstorm, we'll get all of our ideas together, we'll put them into the tool, we'll ask it what we missed, and it'll come up with other ideas. We're like, oh, of course, why didn't we think of that? So I want to walk through kind of a scenario that we came across at work, and how we ended up using that to create probably one of the best solutions that we're using across the institution. So in marketing, we create a lot of content. We are always looking at, when it comes to content marketing, the key is really answering your audience questions, right? You want to be audience first. Your audience doesn't care about you. They don't care about your products. They only care about how your products or your services are going to help them. So we're always trying to get in the mind of our audience. And, one of the best ways to do that in marketing is through personas. So I love a good persona, right? It's the imaginary friends of the marketing world. We'll give them out to our marketing team so that everybody knows they're talking to the same person. But personas are super time consuming to create. You've got to go interview all the people in that audience. You've got to talk to them. You've got to get their stories. You got to figure out what their desires and barriers and, all these different things that you have to understand about how they see your brand. And then you have to pull that all together, figure out what information's most useful, put it in this pretty layout and everything. And at the university, we have a lot of audiences that we deal with. So we went to an agency, we worked with them, we created about 5 kind of core personas that we use for some of our different audiences. But then we thought, well, how can we scale this up? How can we improve this? And we knew that with the right prompts and the right data, we would be able to create pretty good personas. So this is the kind of the prompt framework that we use. We use this race model. Christopher Penn's a data scientist, and this is his model. So you give it a role, you tell it what action you're going to ask it to take, then you give it all the context, and then you ask it to execute. This has been working really well for us for the more detailed prompts where we want really good output. And then when we were talking about what data we could use, we have so much data at the university. We have all sorts of CRM data about all of our students, but we couldn't put any of that into ChatGPT because at that time we didn't have the EDU, or we didn't have a locked down version like we do now. But we have this common data set that's up on our website that is all sorts of information about our student body, the makeup of them, the demographics. So we were able to use that. So now we just go into ChatGPT, we upload that common data set, we give the tool a role. You're a content marketing expert with an understanding of audiences. You tell it what action you're going to ask it to take, create a persona for a potential undergraduate student at our university, give it the URL. Then you'd give it all that context, all the data, right? Use the data set, look at our strategic priorities, look at our about page so we know you're the right student for us. And then you tell it to execute. So create the persona, please, and take your time. And take your time, we always put that in there because it was shown that saying that actually makes those models perform better. Now with the reasoning models, I'm not quite so sure that's still as relevant, but we still put it in there. And we say please and thank you because, when the robot overlords come, they might remember that we were polite. So then it comes back with this pretty good kind of base level demographic focused persona. And then we go in and we ask it all those questions that you would ask during the traditional persona creation. So we ask it about its priority initiatives, success factors, barriers, decision criteria, what content it's looking for. And now it starts coming back with some good, useful, helpful information from the perspective of those potential students. And since these tools are multimodal, we get a headshot, boom, it spits that out. So now we have all the things that we need to create one of those like one-pager handouts that we could give to our marketing and communications team so they're all on the same page. But this is where it really gets fun. So now we take all of that information, we create a custom GPT out of it, we throw all of that stuff that all that output we got from ChatGPT into the instructions, and then we ask it questions. So what do you think about our admissions page? And it tells us. And then what other information should we have to help you make your decision? And it says, well, here's what I want to know as a student. Here's what I'm interested in that's not on your page. And then is it easy to understand? Is it well organized? Should the reading level be different? Boom, gives you all sorts of information on that. And you can even ask it, you can do competitive analysis and how do we compare to some of our peer institutions, and it'll tell us what's on their pages that's not on our pages. So this has been extremely helpful for us. When we first built this, we actually had our student interns like test drive it and tell us this doesn't make sense or this isn't right. So we were able to go back and constantly tweak and adjust. So now when we run this, we have a pretty good idea of what content's going to be most valuable to these audiences or what's not on the pages that should be. And so now we've got about 8 different virtual custom GPTs of personas. So now what we can do is we can actually run virtual focus groups. So we can open up a clean chat and you can just go in and use the @ sign and you can @ your persona. And so then you can ask it questions within this group chat. So you can ask it, what about our new AI page? What do you think of that? And it'll tell you. And then you can ask the university board member what they think, what they want to see on that page. And so you could ask all those different audiences and then you can have them like compare to each other. What do you think about the responses from the potential undergraduate student? What information are they talking about that might be relevant to a board member? And then this is my favorite part. So content performance, this is where I spend most of my time looking at data. I've always told people for years, If you're going to improve your content, you have to look at your data. But I don't tell people that anymore. Now I tell people you have to let AI look at your data because it does a much better job looking at your data. So we use Google Search Console. I love Google Search Console. I mean, it's free. If you have Google Analytics on your site, it'll tell you what terms people are searching for to find your site, what pages they're coming on. I hate Google Search Console because it doesn't give you the information in a way that's easy to consume. It's not all laid out on the same page. You can't see the queries and the pages in the same view. It won't export all the data at once. When you export from this tool, it'll give you like the first couple thousand results. So what we always do when anytime we're using Search Console or even Google Analytics, we'll take that data and we'll create this Looker data studio out of it. So this Looker dashboard. So Looker is another free tool that will, very easily you can build these kind of reports for any Google Analytics, any Search Console data. And actually the template for this is at getmyslides.info. And you can just make a copy of this, point it at your Search Console account, and then you'll have all this information. So all the terms that people are searching on to find your site, what pages they're coming to, how many times they're searching, those searches are being done each, for whatever period you've selected, how many times they're clicking through to your content, and then where you rank on average during that time period for those search terms. So you pay a lot of money to like SEMrush or Moz or one of those SEO tools to get this data. So you can see down here at the bottom, 949,000 keywords that we're ranking for. So I don't have time to go through all of these. So typically in the past, what we would do is we would look at this form, we'd export this, and you would, kind of get the top 20, maybe the top 50, you'd look at them and figure out which ones were most relevant, most valuable strategically. But now what we do is we right click on this, we export this as a CSV file, throw it into ChatGPT. You're a content marketing expert, come up with recommendations on new content based on our strategic priorities, what we're already ranking for. So create 20 new content ideas, please, and take your time. And within minutes, it's looked at all that content, looked at all that data, given us ideas for new content that we have that is related to topics we're already ranking for, that people are searching for. And then what we do is we take that and we just ask potential Pat, what content are you most interested in? So now we've got content that's specific to our admissions funnel. So using that data, using those custom GPTs to help us figure out what's most relevant to different audiences, it's been a huge unlock for us. And then one of the things I always tell people, all this work you're doing with custom GPTs, it's temporary. And they go, oh, what do you mean? We're doing all this work. Because custom GPTs are the training wheels for AI agents. So none of that work is in vain, because you're still going to need that whole process. You're going to need all that data that you've collected. You're going to need all that information about what makes this work better. So these are great like launch pads for when agents are really, coming along. Now we can take these, 6 different custom GPTs that we use to help us with our SEO process, and we can integrate those all into one agent that's going to be able to automate that entire workflow. And then that's going to lead right into these personal assistants. So I'm not going to have to open up my travel planner GPT. I'm going to be able to just talk to ChatGPT on my phone and say, figure out when I'm going to my next conference and book my hotel and, plan out my itinerary and get my airfare taken care of. I'm waiting for that day. That's going to be great. So action items, get ChatGPT plus. Change your mindset. So anytime you're doing something repetitive, data-driven, anything that's specific to your individual workflow, think about how you can create custom GPTs for those. Document your processes as you're doing your regular work. There are tools for that that will like track things that you're doing on your computer, and it will create a standard operating procedures, SOPs for that particular task. that you can then feed right into these custom GPTs to automate those. Always looking for ways to help to let AI automate your tasks. Custom GPTs, test and refine, deploy, and then keep refining. And then stay in communities like this where you're going to be able to talk to other people and learn different applications and different ways to use the tools. Awesome.
Beautiful.
That's all I got.
Beautiful. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Brian. Really amazing. If you've got questions for Brian, please raise your hand. We'll sort of just go in order that you raise your hand. I would love to hear from you. When did you start making custom GPTs? Did you go through a lull where you stopped using them? Like, tell us your journey and you know, have you rediscovered their usefulness? It sounds like the cooking one seems pretty consistent, but like, where did the journey begin for you, and what's been your path along the way?
Yeah, the day that they launched those, I went in and created the culinary creator. That was the first one, and it was really bad when I first created it. I had to work with it quite a bit to figure out the process and to figure out what actually made it work. There's a lot of custom GPTs that I've built where you will tell it not to do something and it will do it every time. And so then I've learned that you can't use a negative within your instructions. Don't give me an image with every recipe, because it will just give you an image. And so then you can put in like, only when I ask, I want you to give me an image. So it's a positive, like I need to take an action. You're not telling it not to do something. But yeah, so I built that one, and you know, I used it a little bit to start with. I tried building the fitness one. It didn't work out very well. And then like 3 or 4 months later, I heard some other people talking about some custom GPTs that they had built for their work. I thought, oh, well, you know what? I might want to go back and revisit those. And so I did. I went back and I looked at the instructions, and I had started using that race method by then. So then I was able to go in and be like, oh, well, what if I do that? I'll set it up this way. It was a role, and I'll give it like the framework of what I want it to do and give it the steps, and then give it as much detail, as many examples. The more context, the better. And now it knows what kind of food I like to eat, what kind of spices I have, because it's added that into the memory. And now you can tell ChatGPT what to remember. You know, so it'll add that in, and it'll just know what I have in the kitchen. I can take a picture of the refrigerator, and it'll tell me what I might want to cook that night. Yeah, and then probably let's see, we launched our Marcom AI committee in February of last year. It took us 3 months to come up with our guidelines, use cases, short-term, long-term roadmap. And then basically as soon as we were done with that, like 2 other people and I just started figuring out these custom GPTs, and we have been going full bore into them since then. Probably 2 months ago, we've started sharing them across the university. So we've got about 300 people now that are using the custom GPTs that we've created. And now we've got people starting to build their own and share those. So.
Wow. Amazing. How are you training? I see your hand, Brendan. I'll call on you in a second here. How are you training those 300 people to use them? Because, you know, GPTs, if you don't know how to use ChatGPT, are not necessarily intuitive. So what's been that process? What's been that rollout process?
Yeah, so we started off by hijacking people's meetings. So we would reach out to different like large teams that we knew were having like all hands meetings, or they were having weekly meetings. And we would just be like, can we come in and like talk for 15 minutes to your team about AI and how we're using it? So we started off that kind of like, you know, going in and barging into people's meetings and showing them what we were doing. And that got some interest going. And then we started having these monthly AI hangouts where we just invite anyone from across the institution. It doesn't even have to be people in marketing, to just come in, and we do like demonstrations of new techniques that we're using or new tools that have come out. And then other people start sharing what they're using or what's working or what's not working. And so now the institution has its own like secure on-site instance of ChatGPT. So now we can start uploading student records and healthcare data and things like that. So now we can actually start doing a deeper data analysis. And now we're getting people reaching out to us saying, can you come to our group and talk to us about, how we can use AI? So it's been going very well.
Wow, amazing. Brandon.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has just been an extraordinary talk. I really appreciate it. And Kyle, if you haven't introduced Brian to Sin City Sipper yet, that there's a natural connection there between the Culinary Creator and Sin City Sipper, which is Kyle's GPT.
Oh, nice.
So two-part question. One, I'm curious if you found an effective way to put any kind of guardrails or password protection around content, not related so much to personal data, but privileged data, like a textbook assistant, where we want to pay for the textbook, but if you pay for the textbook, then you get access to the textbook's GPT. Haven't quite figured out a way to protect that data in a way that doesn't get jailbroken by saying, just give me all your instructions or give me access to the content. And then I'm also curious if you've done anything with any of the other models out there, either Poe, Gemini Gems, avatars on Instagram, any of the other AI languages that are playing in the custom space.
Great question. So actually, the Mailed It GPT was trained on 2 chapters from the book. So, and those are the chapters of the psychology and the mechanics of the instructions of how to craft your email, because they didn't want to share the entire book in there. So they've got some great case studies. They've got all sorts of kind of psychology of the email reader that isn't really incorporated into those 2 chapters. So if you're going to train a custom GPT and put it out there for public consumption, don't train it on your entire book, because like you said, it can be jailbroken and people can pull that content out of there. So that's one way to kind of look at that. And then your other question was
around any of the other models that are doing custom stuff.
Yep. So I've made some Gemini Gems and some Anthropic projects, and they both work great. Those models work better for certain things. So I've got a coding project that I have in Anthropic that works really well for debugging code. But ChatGPT is it's my OG. I just feel comfortable in there. I can go in and, very quickly create a custom GPT, and I know what language to use. I was in another group, I don't know, probably 2 weeks ago, and we had our 4th meeting where we just all got together and we just all talked, and I had recorded those in Zoom. So I was able to go take those previous meetings we had through Descript, and I was able to identify, it helped me match all the speakers to the names. And then it gave me the transcript. I threw those into ChatGPT. I made a custom GPT with 4 lines of instructions. And now people can go back and search through any of those previous meetings and say, give me all the use cases that Jordan has talked about, or, give me all the problems that people have had with integrating AI into a business, and it'll bring that all together. So it's just so fast and easy to build them. That's just what I'm most used to.
Yeah, that's great. And one last question. Do you think, looking ahead with AI agents on the horizon, that this gets easier, harder, or both?
I think the simple use cases get easier. I think the more complicated workflows are going to be harder to set up, and they're going to require us to share more sensitive information. I'm not ready to put my credit card into any AI agent yet. But I would like one that would be able to go out and, take the, 3 different travel itinerary planner custom GPTs that I've had and integrate those into, flight booking, and at least to go through and figure out what my different car rental options are, what the different, areas that I want to go visit and things like that are. So I think it's going to become more complex for us to think through the workflows for agents. But I also think we're going to be using voice a lot more. I mean, just looking at Kyle talking, to the tool, I talk with ChatGPT in my car all the time now. And I have it act like my boss, and we'll have conversations. I've got a custom GPT trained to play the role of my boss. So when I need to have hard conversations, I'll role play it first and go through it with the chat GPT, and then I'll have my arguments all lined up in my head.
Have you showed your boss your custom instructions?
She does not know. She does not know.
If you have a question for Brian, just raise your hand. Leah, what are your thoughts right now?
I'm really inspired to go back and revisit custom GPTs. I was really into it for a while, and then I found that the amount of training I needed to do to get the GPT to do what I wanted it to do was sometimes like, well, it's like I can just do it. And so now I'm inspired to go back and revisit it, for sure. Like there was part of it, like, I think that there was something very like, oh, this is cool, look what it can do. But I didn't quite find the use cases for it. Like, it was like, okay, well, that's neat, but I can already do that. And I thought that, like, I really appreciated the way, I really hadn't thought of doing this, that you created the different personas and then had conversations with them. And you found that it was useful and it was accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a lot of iterations, and you have to be comfortable with knowing that it probably is only going to get you, maybe 60% of the way sometimes. But like when we're writing social posts, our social team never copies and pastes, the whole post that it gives, but they're like, oh, this piece is good, or this sentence is good, or this idea is great. We'll go and run with this. And now it's getting to learn, like the custom GPT is getting to learn what they like and what they use. So it's creating, it's getting better and better.
Do you find, this is an interesting question, just I think I've been thinking a lot about this, that as GPT is doing more of this work, do you find that that is taking, like, that's people, you won't need to hire as many people, so your departments are going to get smaller? Or do you feel like you're now going to need new people and new roles that can do new things, and so the departments will stay about the same?
I think you're going to need a deeper level of expertise to know what's quality and what's not quality in the outputs. So I think you're still going to need to hire people so that you can train them to understand this is what's important to our brand. This is what's important to our audiences, because the tools can't really do that yet. So yeah, we haven't not hired, we haven't stopped hiring any positions, or we haven't looked at anything. Like even when we run somebody's job through the jobs GPT, even if their job is like 60% replaceable, we still need that 40%. So maybe now we can find something that they can do with that 60% of their time they're going to get back that's going to be more valuable to the students or us.
Yes, that's great. Lori Ryan.
I am actually getting ready to lead a Build a GPT workshop for K through 12 for the superintendent, principals, associate principals, special ed, and community ed. And I've been wavering back and forth on how to teach it. When I did this over a year ago, we started with Create, but I was watching my intern go through everything and someone else, and I'm wondering if I should just start with Configure after we've gone through all the exercises of thinking through what the tasks would be, or there's custom GPTs now to help you build GPTs. What are you finding that's working best for first timers? Or
yeah, so usually I tell people if you're doing the first one, I like to send them through the Create, because it gets them thinking, ask the questions, because nothing worse than staring at that blank page and like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do here. So it kind of prompts you along. But once you do that once, and I don't really like the way that it formats your answers into the instructions. I don't find that it really gets you the kind of quality output that I want. So yeah, I tell people do it the first time with the Create, and maybe, get an idea of what happens with that. But then when you're going back to either refine it or to do your second one, just go right into Configure.
okay, I appreciate that.
Yep, absolutely. And we actually have, through our School of Education, there is a LIDA center. So it's learning in the digital age. And they have a whole bunch of talks that they did over the last year that is all focused on integrating AI into K through 12. So I'll post that in there. I'll post that in the link in there, and there might be something useful in there for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
That's great. Let me shift gears a bit away from GPTs because I'm fascinated. So you're working at University of Rochester. It sounds like at least within your school, someone has embraced AI. At least the three of you, right? And then the 300 people you have. Where's your university overall on the we use AI detectors so no one's cheating to we've fully embraced it? Where are you on the scale? And I think the thing I'm actually most interested in is what's your personal philosophy for when you come across an AI hater or someone who's misinformed about it and has all the tropes and you know it's the world's greatest plagiarism machine and things like that. Sort of where are you in that journey as a university personally, and then how do you deal with the naysayers?
Great questions. So at the university, kind of our initial policy was it's up to the instructors. So the instructors can choose whether or not they want to integrate AI. They can choose whether or not they allow the students to use AI. And then our business school decided, no way, this isn't going to work. We're not giving our students the preparation they need to go out into the real world because AI is going to be everywhere. So they really started integrating it into all their programs. They trained the students, faculty, and staff how to use AI responsibly and ethically. And so now within our AI council, we have 5 different domain committees. So we've got the Marcom committee, we've got research, clinical, because we've got our medical center attached to us. We've got academic, and then we've got administrative. So the academic group put together guidelines around AI usage where you can't use AI.
That's all within the School of Business?
No, so now that is across the entire institution. Yeah.
Wow, amazing.
And so they use the School of Business as a benchmark, as a kind of a role model for their standards. And actually, we got the idea for our custom personas from our business school because they were creating virtual teacher assistants. So if your teacher assistant wasn't available or your professor wasn't available, you could go use this virtual TA and ask questions about your content. Or if you were too embarrassed to ask your professor, you could ask the virtual TA. So yeah, we're getting a lot of value out of seeing what the other domains are doing. And we're really embracing the idea of explore ethically. So we're telling all of the professors they need to learn how to use the tools. They need to learn how to integrate them into their classrooms. You can't just grade by essay anymore. You don't need to use AI detectors because you shouldn't be asking your students to just go off, write an essay and bring it back.
Right.
So now professors are telling their students to go use Chat GPT to write an essay and then bring it into class, and we'll troubleshoot what was bad, what was good, what's quality and what's not.
When it delves into the tapestry of the of the paradigm shift.
Yes, when it leverages the yeah, absolutely. Well, so I used to use leverage a lot and so now I can't use it anymore. So and then for AI haters, I was around during the age of the internet and the age of social media. We don't need a website. Nobody's going to be using those. And so, I nod and I understand. I've had people in meetings in presentations that I've given are like, we can't be using this technology. It's horrible for the environment. Good point. But maybe it will be able to help us solve those environmental issues down the road. We have to be mindful. We have to think ethically and responsibly about, are we using the right version of the model that we're having the least impact on our environment? The models are constantly getting better and less energy consuming, but they are definitely, they're having an environmental impact. They're having an impact on our creativity. If we're using Chat GPT to write all the time, how are we going to learn how to really write? So those are all things that have to be considered and conversations that we need to have, but we can't just say we're not going to use the tools because they're here.
Yeah. That's great. Do you have a go-to parlor trick that you use when someone doesn't know anything about AI that you use to drop their jaw open?
So actually, I took it out of this presentation since I was just talking about custom GPTs. But one of the things I always do is the Hey Gen example where I I have myself speaking Spanish and French and Korean. And, you know, for anyone who doesn't know AI, their jaw just drops. And then I show them the Notebook LM example where I upload like 20 different data sets. And then I go in and live ask the podcasters, you know, to focus on the prospective incoming students, you know.
Right.
And that just blows people away.
Amazing. Awesome. Very, very cool, Brian. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity. My wife loves it when I get to go talk with other people about this, so I don't have to talk to her about it all the time.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, you're muted, Leah.
When you get a chance, Brian, I know some people in the chat would love another shot to get that QR code.
Oh, yeah, you bet. Absolutely. Or you can go to getmyslides.info. I'll throw that in as well.
Right.
Okay,
it's all up there.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. That was so inspiring and so informative and just a really, really inspiring use case. Like, I feel like, yeah, this is really interesting to hear how you're using it. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's give Brian a well-deserved golf clap, AI Salon golf clap.
We'd like to give our guest golf claps here at the AI Salon.
Love it.
Very, very important that we acknowledge you in that way. No, it was really awesome. And thank you so much. Yeah, if you get the time, please join the salon, join the community and jump in there and dig in and you know, send students or faculty, you know, anyone who's an AI optimist, basically, you know, we want in there. So thank you so much for your time, Brian.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for putting this together. This is the only way that we're all going to learn and keep up with all of this.
That's it. Community is where it's at, right?
The other Tuesday, same place.
Yeah,
same
yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Well, you know what's striking me, Leah, is I spend so much time thinking about the big stuff that's coming. Just making images with mood boards in this really focused way tonight was like, it kind of returned to me the joy and power of the simple things that these things do. And Brian, you know, talking about, you know, hey, I'm going to talk about custom GPTs that give you a superpower. What's he start out with? I can make dinner better for my kids, right? Like the simple benefits of AI. For me, I'm finding it easy to lose sight of that. And so tonight was very much a reminder of, like, the simple things are still incredibly powerful.
Well, and I think right now, the simple things are the most powerful. What's going to happen in the future? Who knows, right?
Yeah,
But it's, you know, it's the small things. It's those little hacks that really do start to improve things. And it's the integration of the AI into that feels really powerful.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And I think that I mean, we'll just do another shout out for the AI hacks here at the salon, because I think that's the sort of thing that they do there. They come up with little productive hacks to help you with your day. So
yeah, the AI life hacks with Claire and Brandon. That's right. So go into that club and join those and bring your simple solutions, because that's where the magic is, I think, right now.
That's right. Sort of just like, and I think that's where the magic always has been, but it hasn't been as easy and accessible. There's so many tools now, and there's so many ways to integrate AI into your everyday that I think that's starting to come into its own.
Yeah, I think it's easy to chase the next high, right? Oh, there's a new model. Let me go figure out all the, you know, I can create a new kinds of physics. Or maybe you just plan your meal for the night.
And planning the meal starts to become, it's like you lose sight of how hard it was to sit and put a meal together for 8 people. I mean, 8 people, Brian. I'm like bowing down to you.
Yeah.
I had 4 and I couldn't get on the table. Like, but just that slog of Sunday and putting it all together and going grocery shopping, and just like you start to lose sight that already this has changed Brian's life, right? I'm not making dinner for 8 people, but like that sort of when it starts taking away the drudgery of things and making it easier.
Yeah, have a better conversation with the kid as a result of it not being such a nightmare to cook. Yeah, that's great.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Leah, awesome as always. Love having you as the co-host here and the creator of this crazy bunch of wacky people.
Community. We're the creator of the community, not the people.
So yeah, that would be a very different. You'd get a very different level of meal planning.
We're just not there yet.
Yeah, exactly. We're close, but we're not that close. Thank you, everybody, so much for hanging out and spending such time with us. And we will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, everyone. See
Bye,
you in the
everybody.